Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we kept going with our Viridian Void Crusade and knocked out a seasonal boss fight. And we'll keep going here to the bonus mission. So there was some recent news coming out of Capcom, of all people. During, I believe it was like an earnings call, they were talking about how they are planning to release a game, an unannounced game, before the end of the fiscal year. So June like 31st, or not June, March 31st, 2024. Which I thought was a pretty interesting little bit, because obviously unannounced game. And it got me wondering, what could it be? And I don't know if you got any ideas for this, because it's something they will have to announce come the Game Awards. So, come next month. Because otherwise they don't have time to announce this game. There is nothing else between then and now, or like between March and now, that is a big enough venue to justify announcing a game. So there's a lot of questions as to what it could be. Some people have speculated, oh, it's the next Resident Evil, which I was like, they would hype this up for a bit longer. You gotta remember, they need to get the pre-orders. So it doesn't track for it to be that. Then, some people were saying it could be Monster Hunter World 2. Once again, it's an option. I believe it hasn't been a full year yet since the last... Was it Monster Hunter Rise? Since that released on things that weren't the Switch.
I wonder what this machine does.
But I don't think that's... like, it makes sense, but I think they would want longer time on it. That's the big thing, is it's gotta be something small enough that they don't need a large window for, but big enough to warrant an announcement. Because people are getting kind of wild, like, oh, it could be a Breath of Fire or Power Stone. And I just don't know about them reviving an old franchise, because I would love for it to be a new Lost Planet. But I don't know. I'd like for it to be Deep Down, mostly because I would absolutely lose my mind. But I feel like if they're going to announce Deep Down after, the decade I've been waiting, I think they would wait until the new... because I think they're still working on the new RE engine. That said, I don't think graphics are all the be-all end-all. I think they could make a perfectly good game without super top-of-the-line graphics. It just needs to have content. I'd like for it to be Deep Down, because if you followed it, it was supposed to be pretty interesting, kind of rivaling like Souls games to a degree, and it would be fun. But it has been a very long time since that announcement had come through. and we know that it's still in development, but it's been put on the back burner a few times. Alright, let's check these quick. No. Sadly, no. Pop a new meme virus. Expunge our inventory a little bit. Oh, sweet, warp resist, I don't care. So I'm trying to think what other games are, like, it's not gonna be... Because we can start going real far back into... Okay, he just died to the damage. But you could go way far back into Capcom's library and pull, like, ghosts and goblins. But I can't imagine Capcom is sitting down like, yeah, we're gonna revive ghosts and goblins. There's no way they're reviving ghosts and goblins. That's a little too far back, and I don't even know how you would modernize that game without making, like, an entirely new game and just slapping the branding on it. It's weird. Because, like, is there potential for something really cool? Yeah. I really would love for a new Lost Planet. They could... This is my absolute, like, Hail Mary pass. Just throwing it as deep as possible. No way in hell this is happening. I am going to say Umbrella Corps 2. Why? Because it is so insane that I could see it happening. And if you haven't seen, I actually did a video on Umbrella Corps years ago. The Salvage Ops video, kind of how would you recover this game. And I go over rebuilding the game to be more of an XCOM-esque game where, like, you lead a squad on missions, improve the weapon customization, introduce the bleed and infection mechanics from Operation Raccoon City, stuff like that. And so that's why I think it'd be cool, because if Capcom just went buck wild and was like, yeah, we're gonna fix our mistake and make this game, and they did a good job, it'd be cool. If it was a good shooter and got rid of that absolute crackhead speed you get with the debrainer, like, you could crawl so fast with the melee weapon out, you would scuttle like a cockroach when the lights get turned on. If they fixed that and made the game a far more balanced and less terrible game, it'd be cool. I would actually pick it up. Do I think they'll do that? Hell no. I think Capcom, they kind of have, I mean, obviously they're a Japanese company, so they have the Japanese mentality that I've found in the games industry of, if it failed, never touch that shit again. It's the same insane mentality Western devs have too that I've started to see is, oh, the game didn't do well. Clearly it's not because we didn't do the right mechanics or we didn't think this out. It's because people didn't want it. They didn't want the slop we produced, so clearly it's the IP's fault, not ours. And there is the other option that this could be a brand new IP that they're just pulling out of their ass. Now, would I have faith in it? I don't know. Announcing a game and having like 3 months to release it is a little alarming. On one hand, that would tell me that it's at least far enough in development they're not gonna pull a delay. But this is modern gaming. And you could have a game that comes out tomorrow and they will delay it today. Like, there is no cutting off point. And I know someone's gonna be like, well, what if it's, a month before launch when the game is gold and they have to print discs? These days, when digital is like the first thing and physical copies come out a month later, you don't have to. That's what I think a big reason for the push for digital is they can delay it whenever they need. Which doesn't mean we actually get better games, it just means they get the freedom to delay a game as they wish. I would honestly love to have Umbrella Corps come back as a competent, well thought out shooter. But I think Capcom couldn't use their Osaka studio. I said it before and I'll say it again. You can take the game out of Japan, but you can't take the Japan out of the game. It was, first and foremost, an arcade game. Everything about it screamed, this is as arcadey as you can imagine. And that was the problem. It doesn't need to be, Escape from Tarkov or squad level difficulty, but it needed to be less gimmicky. And I do think if they went XCOM-y / kind of extraction shooter COD DMZ type vibe, they could make a pretty cool game. Especially because, I've said it before, the game had lore. Yeah, people do not know there was lore, and it wasn't just their stupid little diaries between, single-player missions. There was actual, factions and companies that were hiring the player to, get samples, and they could do a ton of stuff with that. And they just have to do that. But, yeah, that is such a long shot, it's not even funny. If I was going to genuinely bet on a game, I would say odds are that it would be probably Monster Hunter. If it is a existing IP, Monster Hunter, everything else is too old for them to just spring it on people, and it makes the most sense. I just hope whatever it is, it doesn't end up like Exoprimal. That is a game I have not heard anyone say anything about. Even kind of the guys known for playing bad games or weird games like Oboe Shoes or Kev Do It, they haven't touched it. So I'm like, okay, it's either really bad or it's that unremarkable. If I had a copy, I'd give it a whirl. Because it's not... Exoprimal was not a game that off rip I was like, oh, this is just revolting. I was just kind of like... So, it's XCOM... Or not XCOM, it's EDF, but with dinosaurs. And then they're like, it's got PvP. And I'm like, why? Why do you have PvP? Of all the things... That feels like one of those boardroom kind of decisions, what do kids like these days? Player versus player stuff? And they're just like, yeah, put it in, who cares? But like that's the only thing I can think of. Short of that, there's no way. But we'll just have to wait and see. Once the Game Awards come around, I'll definitely be talking about that. Who knows, maybe we'll have a sleeper hit just creep up on us. It'd be nice to have one of those times again where it's like, hey, here's a bunch of games to look forward to, instead of our kind of slow periods. But I don't know, we still got a lot to look forward to. Next year, hopefully, John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. Then sometime Space Marine 2. We got Rogue Trader, that's what I was looking for. Rogue Trader comes out in December. Potentially. I can go on to like Steam or Google it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's coming out like December 7th. But then I go onto the PSN, they're like, I don't know. I'm just looking at it like, well, you either know or you don't. And when you are just under a month out, or just over a month out, you should probably know if the game's coming out or not. Just saying. It could be some weird like, hey, here's early access still, which I'd be pretty bummed about. But if that were the case, oh well. Still waiting to hear anything about an Elden Ring DLC. Got the name, but FromSoft has been real quiet. They're apparently hiring for a bunch of big projects, which on one hand I'm like, cool, bunch of new projects, that's a good thing. But I'm also like, hey, well, when are we getting, Shadow of the Erd Tree? I'm real interested in that. I would actually like a new Bloodborne. Even though I'm not a big Bloodborne fan, but I think they would need to really step their game up. We need magic, like legitimate magic. None of this Augur of Ebritas, BT dubs that's going to use your silver bullets, so you got like 3 shots and then you're out. I want full-blown magic. Essentially Elden Ring, but Lovecraft. Because that would be fun, and I don't even care about like the story. I just want Chalice Dungeons. I love, as you can tell, me playing copious numbers of ARPGs, I love random gen. I love content that I can just sit and go through for a long time. Sometimes I enjoy just kind of brainlessly marching through content, just blasting my way through enemies. It's pleasant. I'll just toss on a podcast or a playlist of music and just kind of vibe. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And a big thing too is like Capcom saying, oh, we're gonna have this out by the end of the fiscal year. I say take it with a grain of salt. A lot of games these days are like, we're gonna have it out by this time, and then it takes forever. Look at Rip Out. I've waited so long for Rip Out that I've kind of given up on its release. Because it was supposed to come out like last year, and like beginning of end of last year, and then they just kept delaying and delaying and delaying. And I'm just like, look, at this point I don't care anymore. Which I think is something these studios need to learn. unless you have a concrete, you are releasing it this day or this quarter, don't pull this crap. Don't keep delaying and dragging your feet. Because personally, I've been on projects where this happened, where I've been like, hey, look, you need to do a beta. You need to get this stuff out. You have some multiplayer stuff. You have maps, guns, characters, all that. Get it out so we can test and we can get experience in this and know what we need to fix before we have too much. And these projects, the guys would be like, oh, well, we don't have the stuff set up to do that. I'm like, okay, I create a document. Sometimes it was like Google Docs for even easier submissions. And I'd be like, look, there it is. Get this going. And they'd be like, oh, well, we want to add more. I'm like, no, stop adding. Start testing. You need to test. And these are indie projects, and I left one project because of this. And then, to my knowledge, they're still going, but they've never done a beta, and it's been years. And I'm just like, if you ever release this, you have to be damn sure that this is going to work, otherwise, God knows how much crap you're going to have to sift through. That kind of stuff just drives me mad. At least a lot of indies are a little more reasonable and are like, yeah, sure, beta, let's get that going. They're a lot more willing to do early access, part because funding, and part because they have a lot more to work with.
Spectral scanning revealed info fragments of high importance in close proximity.
Oh yeah, the info fragment. I'm supposed to find that somewhere. Good thing I want to just wipe everybody.
Blessed scanning psalms have been executed and indicate essential info fragments, Inquisitor. Data has been inloaded.
But in the end, gotta just wait and see. I have faith in Capcom. They're not too big on delays. They seem to actually have all their ducks in a row, and when they say things happen, they typically happen. But what do you think it'll be? I'm curious. Because, as I've said, I got my ideas, but maybe I'm missing something, or maybe you agree with me, I don't know. Hey, and we got a boss mission. That's pretty good. Everything can get mulched, unfortunately, but such is the nature of the beast. Do we look at this? It's crap. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.